So this is the equation we use to develop B2B marketing strategies. We are taking off the kimono and revealing our biggest secrets, which is client plus problem equals relationships raised to the power of network plus brand plus solution, all of this raised to the power of experience. And I'm going to go through each one of these and what they actually mean. So the idea of relationships is relationships provide people with confidence in us. That's where the world gives us and transmits its confidence in us, is through our relationships. But not all relationships are created equal. So the network of the people with whom we have relationships is important to our growth and prosperity as a company. Our brand is what gives us credibility. Our solution is the product or service that we are trying to sell, and everything can either be elevated or sabotaged by the experience we offer people who work with us. If we do everything right and then offer a crappy experience, then we are not going to advance. And finally, network effects. I don't know any marketing manager who has a line item to invest in network effects, but it is the most important form of marketing. It is the most important tool, but it's difficult to control. Maybe you have a referral program, which is kind of like network effects, but network effects is really when you give people a great experience and they tell their networks about it, then more people come to you. And I've lived this as an agency up until, 5 years later. I've invested very little in my own marketing strategy because all of my clients have come through referrals. So I don't actually practice what I preach most of the time, and that's because I know that if I do a good job, then people will either refer me or they move companies and they take us with them. So first, client plus problem. If your product is for everyone, it is probably for no one. If you understand what happened in the last US election, then you understand that Donald Trump is the first digitally inclined president because he understood that in the digital age, it's not about appealing to everyone. It's actually about appealing to a specific group of people. And if you can't say who you're not for, then it's very difficult to say who you are for. Now, inbound marketing preaches this idea of the buyer persona, which I think is somewhat flawed. A buyer persona is often someone who holds a specific role, so we're going to sell to CMOs or the head of HR, or maybe it's built on demographic information. But the ultimate factor that unifies different groups of people is the problem that you help them solve, which is why these two things go together. Procurement happens differently in every single company. So if you say, I'm going to sell to the heads of HR, but then in some companies, the head of HR is the decision maker, in other companies, it's the CEO, then you're going to be building a strategy based on a flawed notion. And when we understand the problem, most brands I start working with don't really understand the problem they're selling for their clients because they never ask them. They just assume. So the best marketers I find are people who leave an industry and then sell back into that industry because they're fluent in the technical language, which then inspires confidence in their solution. So this is really important. Then our relationships. So where do our relationships live? Well, our relationships might live in our email addresses, in our CRM, in our marketing automation tool, and on social media. And so these are the tools that are between us and people in the companies that we want to penetrate. So I had this company that is a client of mine, and they received a large amount of investment, and they said, we want to take our message to the top 100 clients in Latin America. So what we did, which is somewhat controversial, is we downloaded every single employee's email contact list, and then we created a database with it, and then we said, okay, instead of spending thousands of dollars on ads this month, our head of IT is connected to the head of IT at Coca-Cola, and you want to talk to the CMO, so let's see if we can get an introduction. And that was the easiest, the path of least resistance, even though the process of building this database was very manual and it was very painful. In the end, it was much more effective than spending a lot of ads that are easily ignored. So we probably already have a lot of contacts in the companies that we want to sell into. We have to be able to map our contacts in order to be able to get there. And As I said before, not all relationships are built the same. So let's say you have a new company and you want to give your product away so you can build a case study. And you have two choices. You can do this with WestJet, or you can do this with your uncle's business in Red Deer. And as obliging as your uncle's business in Red Deer might be, showing their logo off on your case study is not going to mean the same thing as saying, I did this thing for WestJet, and people are going to think, oh, he works for WestJet, we should maybe work with him too. So we have to be strategic about with whom we build our stories.